So first, to cost of living relief. There's never any shortage of worthy and well-meaning offers or ideas on where we might spend more money. And that temptation becomes a lot stronger when you see people hurting. As a Labor government, as Labor people, we feel that. We care about that. It keeps us awake. We see what rising prices means for families, taking more from hip pockets and pushing people closer to the edge. And whether it's food, whether it's electricity, whether it's rent, inflation is public enemy number one. Inflation is the dragon we need to slay. And in the weeks leading up to yesterday, cost of living relief was the subject of most of the questions I got from yourselves and from your colleagues, and that's not surprising, because it's the source of most concern in our communities right now, which is why it was the centrepiece in lots of ways of our budget last night. But there's a right way to spend and there's a wrong way to spend. And perhaps surprising to some was our determination to deliver cost of living relief only where it met very specific and very strict criteria. Relief that was targeted in the right way, timed in the right way, and which delivered the right kind of result. And we did it in this way not to appear tough, not just to win kudos with the econocrats or the markets or the commentariat, but because we knew that doing any different would be doing damage to the people that we are here to serve. An indiscriminate spraying of cash would have made our inflation challenge more profound and more prolonged, and ultimately more painful for people who would have felt it through higher prices and higher interest rates as well. And I think most people get that. And my sense in recent months is that there is a pretty solid understanding in our communities of how all this works, the balancing act, the tightrope that we're trying to walk here. At a time of rapidly rising interest rates, we weren't prepared to do something that might have made a nice splash on budget day, but would ultimately be counterproductive to tackling the inflation challenge. So that meant any cost of living measure couldn't be inflationary. It had to deliver at least another purpose, pull at least another lever in the economy. Whether on the supply side or through productivity or through participation, it had to deliver some kind of economic dividend. And you see that in the plan that we set out last night. Cheaper childcare because it helps more people, especially women, back into work. The same goes for paid parental leave, good for participation, good for productivity. Cheaper medicines is a pretty simple example of investment that recognises healthier people and more productive people too. Our agenda for housing affordability and the new accord at the centre of it, increasing supply in a sector of the economy that desperately needs it. Helping people live closer to where they work, but taking the time to do it right, and not at a time when the supply chains in the construction sector are already crunched. And our agenda to get wages moving again in strong but also broad and sustainable ways. So if the centrality of inflation drove our response to cost of living relief and wages policy, it also drove the second part of our focus in the budget, investing in a stronger and more resilient economy.